Hi, and welcome to today's masterclass on the social module. The social module is a great module as in the sense that it allows workplaces to curate content, whether that be from the regulator, so WorkSafe Victoria, Safe Work New South Wales, WorkCover Queensland, Safe Work Australia, or alternatively industry groups, to ensure that not only your managers but your workers maintain currency of any activity in these areas. Alternatively, the social module can be used as an internal tool where you can create your own Twitter handle, if you like, to be able to share information across your workplace that has been curated by yourselves. With regards to the social media module, what I'm keen to do is to give you an understanding as to how it works and how it can be constructed. Importantly, before I do this, it's good to go through sort of what you will see depending on the levels that the handle is configured at. So with regards to configuration, as you'll be aware, you can configure at the organizational level, but you can also configure at the workplace level. So configuring at the organizational level will mean you're influencing it and impacting what everybody across or all users across the organization can see. Configuring at the workplace level will ensure that you are making changes and to those users who are at that workplace. Now, we have some default settings within the system. So if you don't configure the social module at the organizational level or at the workplace level, those default settings will be applied to your organization. Now, these vary, but typically they're the Australian regulators along with Safe Work Australia. As we move along the table here, we can see organisation has been ticked and workplace hasn't been ticked. So in these scenarios, all users across the business will see the organisational handles. And this is probably the most common setup that we see across our clients. If we move across one further, we can see that the organisational level hasn't been configured. One workplace has been configured and another workplace hasn't. So workplace A, yes, configured. Workplace B, no, not configured. So what users will see in these instances? At the organisational level, the organisational users will see the Twitter handles that have been configured for Workplace A. Workplace A will obviously see the Twitter handles configured for Workplace A, but your users in Workplace B will see the default handles. And this is important to recognise and understand in the sense that nothing is shared between workplaces. So Workplace B has no visibility of Workplace A. So in this instance, they're still on the default settings. As we move over one further and we've got nothing configured at the organisational level, but at Workplace A we have something configured and Workplace B we have something configured. In this instance, the organisational users will see those handles that have been configured from, I guess, a combination of Workplace A and B. Workplace A will just see Workplace A and Workplace B will just see Workplace B. And the final scenario that we have is that something is configured at the organisational level and something has been configured at the workplace level. So in these instances, the organisation will see the organisational configurations. In addition, they will see what's been configured for Workplace A and configured for Workplace B. So they will see every Twitter handle that has been entered into the system. And that allows sort of organisational users to moderate content and ensure that the information that the workers and the workplace users have set for them are relevant to the workplace and to the needs of the organisation. The Workplace A will see the organisational handles as well as their own, and Workplace B will see the organisational handles and their own in Workplace B. And this is important in the sense that you might find as you look across your organisation, there's different needs, potentially across different sites, different countries. It may be based on the legislation that they're working towards, or it might be associated with the work that they're undertaking. So it's very important for us to sort of allow you to curate content specific to individual workplaces to ensure that there is relevance in what people see. Now, when a organizational user morphs into the workplace, they will see what the workplace sees. So in the instance, the instance in the middle there, where the organizational was no, workplace A was yes, and workplace B was no, whilst the organizational user will see workplace A when they're logged in at the organizational level, if they morph down to workplace B, they will see the default settings. So they'll see what the workplace B users were seeing at that point of time. So what we'll do is we'll log in and sort of show you how this is set up. Now, this is a very simple module compared to a lot of the other ones. So firstly, I'll log out and then log back in. So demo T2. So I'm going in at the power user level. Now, to change the handles here, again, once we log in, you're presented with the power user screen. We select on manage, and then we select on social. And again, you can change the name social if you want. It doesn't appear anywhere else except in the configuration, so up to yourself. But if you want to call it Twitter, again, you can. Now, with regards to Twitter handles, when we click on show list, if we click on the list and nothing expands, it's sort of advising that nothing is in there. If we want to add a Twitter handle, we click on the plus button, and then we type in the handle name. So if we type in Action OHS and hit submit, again, and now select on show list, Action OHS will display. Again, we can switch Twitter handles off if we like by sliding the button, or we can switch them back on by sliding the button. So if the button is colored, then it's on. If the button is grayed out, then it is off. I'll delete this one for a second. So whilst what I did there was type in Action OHS, if we do try to type in the Twitter handle, so often you'll see Twitter handles with the at button at the start. If we try to type in the Twitter handle in that alignment there and click on submit, we'll get an error message saying there's an invalid handle name. Now, that's just wanting you to remove the at button. And then when we submit that, the Twitter handle will display. So I'll switch off I'll delete the Action OHS one in there. Actually, no, I won't. Yes, no, I will remove that, because what I want to be able to go in is show you sort of if there's nothing in there, that you will see the default screen. But then if we start to curate the content, you'll start to see the content that you've entered into the system. So I'll save this, and I will log out, and I'll log in at the workplace level. Oh, sorry, at the organizational user level. Demo manager. So when we log in, our notice board is up in this top right hand of the screen, and because we haven't entered any handles in the system, the default settings are being displayed. Now, we can cycle through them by clicking on the back button. We can go forwards by clicking on the forward button. We can just play them as usual, or if we want, we can stop them by pausing them using the pause button. Now, with regards to workplace Twitter handles, how we update and manage them is we click on Safety Champion, click on Administration, and then within these workplaces, we click on Manage. We click on, now we've changed it to Twitter. We select on Twitter, and again, we've got Twitter here. Click on Show List. Again, nothing's been displayed, so we click on plus. So we'll put in Action OHS, submit, and we'll click on Save. So at Brisbane, within Twitter, again, if you haven't changed it, it'll display as social. Again, we have Action OHS. If we look at London, Melbourne, or Sydney, again, we look at Twitter. Again, nothing's displayed. So when we click on Home, what we'll now display is, rather than displaying the default Twitter handles, we're displaying the Action OHS ones, which were seen and set for at the Brisbane workplace. If we morph down to Brisbane, again, we see the Twitter handle that they created. If we, however, morph down into London, what we see here is we see the default Twitter handles, again, because nothing's been created at the organisational level, and the handle we created beforehand was at the workplace level for Brisbane. I'll sign out and we'll go in and we'll create a handle at the organisational level. So we select on Manage. Again, we select on Twitter. Again, I'm going to change this back to social in this instance. I'm going to add in Safe Work Oz. Again, click on here so I can see it's available, and I'm going to leave it active. I'm going to select on Save. So now when I log in at the organisational user level, rather than seeing the default Twitter handles, I'm now seeing the organisational one that was created. And if I scroll through, I'm also seeing the workplace one that was input for the Brisbane workplace. If I morph down to Brisbane, I see a combination of the organisational handle as well as the handle that was entered for the workplace. If I morph down to, say, Melbourne, what I see is just the organisational Twitter handles as I scroll through. So with regards to your worker users will see the Twitter handles that are aligned with the workplaces that they're attached to. And with regards to your workplace users, one of the things that people might find is that different users can't see things. So in this instance, if we go to, these are our worker users here. So let me just, go up. And what I want to do is go into the Melbourne workplace where our demo worker user is. So administration and Melbourne, and click on users here. And then Sylvia, I'll go into manage. I'm going to social. So when we change it in configuration beforehand from Twitter back to social, we can see that that automatically displays. I'm going to go and disable social for this user. And again, this user's name is Sylvia Smith. So one of the things that you might find happening is that people are getting a blank screen. So if we disable access or revoke access, I should say, to the module, what the user will see is a blank screen like this here. So this was Sylvia Smith, who we just switched it off. So if this is happening, what you need to do is that you need to make sure that the module hasn't been revoked. So when I go into demo, back to demo manager, and we'll go back and we'll make that change for Sylvia now. Just to show you that put the wrong password in, it will not let us get into the system. We go down to administration. We go to Melbourne and we select on users. We identify Sylvia. We'll go down to social. We'll switch social on. So rather than disabling it, we'll enable it. Click on save. Log out. Go back in at Sylvia's level. Also, I should say log back in as Sylvia. And where this notice board was disabled beforehand, it's now enabled. So if you are having issues, or you are finding that that notice board is blank, what it may be is that you haven't enabled the social media module to your user, or alternatively, you may have also switched it off across the workplace. So again, in this instance, looking at workplace users, if we go to administration, and again, this is no different to the layout beforehand where we had the 4 workplaces, but if we go to manage and social, if we switch the module off, we revoke it at that higher level, then any of those users that sit within that level won't be able to sort of access it because it's been disabled by the super user. So make sure it's enabled at the higher level, and then make sure it's enabled for your users for activation to be there. So that brings us to the end of the social module. Hopefully that makes it really easy for you to be able to communicate with your workforce, but also hopefully it allows yourselves and your management teams to maintain currency of information that's being provided by the regulators or industry groups that have specific meaning for yourselves. If you do have any questions, please contact your Safety Champion consultant or your Safety Champion partner. Thanks very much for your time. Appreciate all the work that you're doing to make safety a real sort of positive within your workplace. Cheers.